Narcissistic control after breakup. Hoovering, as you probably do not yet know it. Welcome to today's topic, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Coach Tobiasforst, founder of achilleslifecoaching, decade-long recipient of narcissistic abuse, and I've saved myself from it. And I will support you on your journey to your personal freedom. So the goal of today's video is to help you out and away from your emotional thinking. The reason for that is that emotional thinking is among the two most powerful enemies that you have when leaving a narcissistic relationship. The one being the narcissist and all their machinations, which they deem to muster. And the other one is within you, and its name is emotional thinking. So let's take this with the following premise for today's video. You have a new boyfriend. Let's assume you're female. You can switch roles, whichever. I will stick to referring to you as she and the boyfriend as he, of course. So let's assume your boyfriend, your new boyfriend, has a solid no contact in place. He split up with the narcissistic, now ex-girlfriend, some time ago, and you are now together. And what you're experiencing is the following. You're on your own in town, and his ex-girlfriend runs into you. Out of chance or out of planning, that doesn't really matter at this point. But she approaches you and looks very solemn, appearing even friendly, and she tells you, "You take good care of him, will you?" With that said, we will now discuss, for the remainder of the video, what effects does this have on you? What effects does this have on your new boyfriend? Why does she, the ex-girlfriend, do what she does? What happens to reality and control in this instance? And how your mindset for the future should look and how it should not look. So now, moving on to the effects on you, ladies and gentlemen. The effect on you is it triggers that statement, "You take good care of him, will you?" It triggers your emotional thinking. You might think she doesn't really sound so bad. You might be wondering in confusion or in a cognitive dissonance even, after all the stories you've heard about her, that she's now being so friendly and appearing to be even caring toward you and his well-being, her ex-boyfriend's well-being, your now boyfriend. You might even experience cognitive dissonance, but confusion, at least that is in place right now. She doesn't really sound so bad. Why does she talk to me like this? What's her interest? What's her end game? And the questions just bubble up as they please. Now, you inadvertently, probably unbeknownst to you, become her flying monkey. How does this happen? It happens in such a way when you decide that you talk to him, your boyfriend, about that very occasion where his ex-girlfriend told you, "You will take good care of him, will you?" Moving on to the effects on him after you've talked about this with him. The effects on him will be the trigger of emotional thinking. He will start to ruminate, be that all the positives, all the negatives, or any mix thereof. Regardless, he starts thinking about her. Various situations that he had during this relationship with this woman, now ex-girlfriend. In the worst of cases, he might now decide, thinking that he should step up, which is really the wrong conclusion here. He should step up, unblock her for a moment, and text her, "Leave my girlfriend, leave my girlfriend alone. You don't get to talk to her, yada, yada, yada." Now what happened in this case is exactly what she, the narcissistic ex-girlfriend, was aiming for. So how about her motivations? Why did she do this? Next point, next chapter in this video. She approached you with an indirect hoover toward her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend. You became the first chain link. She triggered your emotional thinking that led you to become her flying monkey by you relaying that situation to your now boyfriend. He broke no contact by the simple fact that he talked about her with you, that he thought about her after you told him. And this is important to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen. We can break no contact by talking about narcissists from our past. Breaking no contact does not require a direct interaction with a narcissist. It is very vital to keep in mind how easy it is for you to break no contact. So you were the chain link of the indirect hoover toward him, and in case he decides to text her, trying to order her to cease any such actions in the future, becomes the next chain link. Chain link in what? The hoovering cycle. She managed to trigger your emotional thinking, you triggered his emotional thinking led to another very unsmart decision to get in contact with her again. So, in addition to that, what was the ex-girlfriend's motivation behind it? At some point, her ex-boyfriend popped up as an object in her mind. She started thinking about him and tried to establish, do I have control over this man or not? About this object or not? And the answer is no. If the answer is no, narcissism dictates re-establish control. All right. And re-establishing control does not necessarily mean that she wants to get back with him into a relationship. But control can also mean not interfering or only partially interfering. Control can mean extrapolating emotional thinking. And you might think, how does this work? So let's dive more deeply into it. Under the following premise, yes, you do take good care of him. And this is where the reality split takes place right now. Your perspective, your reality, and her, the ex-girlfriend's reality. This is where reality diverges. You take good care of him because you choose to, because you want to, because it's in your heart and in your mind. The narcissistic ex-girlfriend's perspective, the narcissistic ex-girlfriend's reality is, you take good care of him because she told you to. Now, as you might be shaking your head right now regarding the insanity about this, let's remove your emotional thinking and just accept this for what it is. This is the constructed reality, fake as it might be, of someone who cannot err, who cannot go wrong, who cannot not know, who cannot not control, etc., etc. Narcissists are chronic reality refugees. Narcissism is a defense against reality. And narcissism dictates that where there is no control, control must be established, regardless of the labeling, if it makes sense or not, when you come from the real reality. So going back to you take good care of him, your reality is, and reality is, that you have the control over this. You choose to, because you want to, of your own volition. Her reality, the narcissistic ex-girlfriend's reality is, she has control. Because she told you to. Take good care of him, will you? So, if a few emotions among some of you have started to well up, this is one of the first important lessons for you to let go of your emotional thinking, because emotional thinking is not your friend. It is far worse. It is your enemy. It's not neutral. Your emotional thinking is your enemy. So let me help you with your mindset in the future, what you should and ought and shouldn't and oughtn't to do, what you shouldn't do in the future, how you should see it and how you should not see it. Number 1. In the narcissist's mind, the narcissist is always in control. Okay. Where reality doesn't match having control, reality will construct it in such a way in the narcissist's mind that he or she does have control. You cannot change that, you won't change that, and no way of interfering with it or not interfering with it will change that at any point in any way, shape or form. So that leads to number 2. Your mindset should not be to take and wrest control from the narcissist. That they feel to not be in control, because in some way, shape or form they always will. So that leads to point number 3. Don't have any unnecessary interactions with a narcissist. Don't defend, don't engage, don't explain, and don't personalize. Don't go deep, as Dr. Ramani calls it, DEEP. And with that in mind, you don't owe your time, your attention, your validation, or your antagonism to her approach in this example, to engage with her in any way. You can look at her, you can see her open her mouth, you can hear the vocal vibrations in the air, and you just walk on. Does she maybe try to get a hold of you by speaking more loudly, addressing you by your name? You just walk on. You owe nothing. And with that said, regarding point number 3, no unnecessary interactions with narcissists. Ladies and gentlemen, you do not talk about that interaction with the ex-girlfriend with your boyfriend. If you want to talk with someone about this, talk to your circle of friends. You do not talk with him about this for the simple fact that you allow him to have a solid no contact in place, because you become the agent of the ex-narcissist partner by talking to him about this, because you didn't control your emotional thinking. You had to vent it in some way and relay that situation and the details of it to him. Don't. Talk to someone else if you feel the need to talk to someone else. Point number 4. You get out and move on, regardless if it's your direct relationship with a narcissist or an indirect one with some acquaintance, someone you know, in that case, the narcissistic ex-girlfriend of your now boyfriend. You get out and you move on. Moving on with what? With your life, with your decisions, with you taking good care of him, of your own volition, of your own choosing. Point number 5. Avoid being triggered in your emotional thinking. Don't let a narcissistic woman like this trigger your pride, your narcissistic trait of pride. Don't let yourself be angered and enraged. How dare she try to interfere or give recommendations as to how you should treat your boyfriend or not. And last but not least, point number 6, ladies and gentlemen. You leave the narcissists on the plane of irrelevance. This is where they are. This is where they know they are. Regardless of the quality and the amount of supply sources they have. This darkness is always very close beneath them, and they know it. And you completely agree. And this is where you leave them, in irrelevance, because you managed to have a hold and a grip on your emotional thinking, and you took the next step, that is called logical thinking. Be your own hero and be your own heroine. Thanks for watching. See you next time.